Hey, Dr. Jon Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, Habit Mechanics. It's Dr. Jon Finn here. I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. We are going to talk about elite sport in this short Habit Mechanic episode. We're going to talk about Novak Djokovic and a special technique that he uses that I think has been instructive to his success. I'm joined today by my friend and colleague, Andrew Whitelam. Andrew, how are you?
Hi there, John. Yes, Novak Djokovic is a fascinating case study, if you like, for us, I know, and you can read about him, of course, in the Habit Mechanic book. But for this shorter podcast, we thought we'd just share the story and give some background into how we became aware, or how you became aware, of course, of this example of what you call intelligent self-watching. Everyone knows Novak Djokovic. Everyone sees him be so successful on the international tennis circuit. He's, of course, just won the French Open at Roland Garros in 2023. So he adds to his vast array of titles. And he's without question one of probably tennis all-time greats and must be recognized as such. And you found out some fascinating insight into what makes him tick, what makes him successful, and how this, in fact, fits in so perfectly with the habit mechanic methods and the approaches to being better and feeling better every day. Please tell us the story, if you would, John.
Yeah, so I know one of the tennis journalists for the Daily Telegraph. He took a great interest in the Tougher Minds work. And one day he was just telling me that he'd been interviewing Novak Djokovic, and he was making I'd actually just shown him one of our planners, and he was making this connection between what Djokovic had explained, that he's always analyzing himself for wasted energy and wasted potential. And Simon Briggs, the journalist, suggested to Novak that it's almost like he's got a little CCTV camera on his shoulder, monitoring his behavior, in my language, his habits, and looking out for the habits that are not helping him to be at his best. And apparently Djokovic really liked that idea that he had this camera on his shoulder. So he's a guy that's always looking for the next little improvement and how to do things just a tiny little bit better. And I think that is reflected in the performances that he achieves. We've seen lots of, I suppose, unusual things that Djokovic has used over the years to give himself that edge. From memory, there's some dietary things. There's some things about, physical conditioning that's often different to what other athletes are doing. So he's almost like a one man, and he's got a team around him. But he's also like, but in an individual sport, it's a bit like a Clive Woodward type approach, but using that in tennis. The Clive Wood, of course, the head coach of the England rugby union team, that really was the first international rugby union team to take full advantage of becoming professional in terms of the performance enhancement tools that they were using, and they became world champions and were almost untouchable as a rugby team for a period of time. So yeah, intelligent self-watching, I think, is certainly one of the keys to Novak Djokovic's success, and it's no doubt really helpful for him in terms of building the habits that have allowed him to now become the most successful tennis player ever.
Yeah, I think you talked about the camera, the CCTV camera on the shoulder, and yeah, as you say, Novak Djokovic was taken by that image or that metaphor when it was explained to him, and well, in simple terms, agreed with it. And that's a graphic that you've developed and used in the Habit Mechanic book. Again, with the tools that you have, I think it's just worth pointing out. People will say, "Well, I can sit back and think about myself, and I can reflect, and realize I'm not doing well." But it's so important to understand we need specific tools to help us. We need frameworks to do this.
Well, if we understand how our brain works, that's going to allow us to be a better judge of the behaviors that we're observing. And the frequent thing that I hear is, for example, when people learn about their hue or their ape brain, they start to notice behaviors that they hadn't noticed before, and often start to notice some of the absurd things that Hugh says and does, and some of the absurd behaviors that it drives us to do. So having a framework of understanding about what we're designed to do and why we can do some things that are not particularly helpful for us is really helpful. We set out, we've created lots of what we call habit metric tools that make intelligent self-watching easier. And then we've created lots of other tools that make, I'd say, intelligent planning easier. So once you recognize something that you want to change, then you've got to create an intelligent plan. So yeah, a big part of becoming a habit mechanic is getting much better at intelligent self-watching. And that's a journey. And I'm still getting better at intelligent self-watching. And I think that I will until the day that I die. But I'm much better at it now than I was 12 months ago. And I was much better 12 months ago than I was the 12 months before that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the key to me, John. You when you do read The Habit Mechanic for the first time, you realize we're not only concerning ourselves with improving habits that will be helpful, but of course self-watching will be helpful, but we get better at this self-analysis. That becomes a helpful habit.
Yes, and for me, one thing that I'm really compelled by is an idea that's called implicit emotional regulation, which I talk about, I think, in chapter 14 of The Habit Mechanic, which is really at the heart of what the habit mechanic approach is designed to help people to do. It's to automate more helpful, intelligent self-watching and, I suppose, action.
Yes, and on the subject of taking action and being in action, in recent days, of course, cricket's Ashes series between England and Australia is now underway here in the UK. If you're a cricket fan, it's fascinating. If you're not, you're still probably hearing about it because it is very high profile. And you've identified, John, I know you do take a close look at high performance sport to see what we can learn from it. And you've identified somebody within the England team who seems to be engaging in habit mechanic like behavior.
Yeah, well, I do take a close interest in elite sport. That's my background, and in fact, I worked with Johnny Bairstow many years ago. He was part of my PhD. I spent a year with Johnny. Johnny now one of the best batsmen in the world. So I have some real connections to the current England team. And yeah, I heard that Stuart Broad talking about how every morning before the game, he writes down the key things that he wants to achieve. And I thought that was very habit mechanic-esque. So really helping him to focus his attention on what he wants to be doing. I would say it's activating the neocortex. It's giving him the best chance of getting his attention onto the things that he feels are going to be most helpful for him. But also by writing them down, he's almost replaying them before they happen. so very, very interesting. Just hearing, and Stuart Broad is a world-class performer, and over the start of the Ashes, he's lived up to that again. So people will see parallels in that with the daily tea plan, for example, and the end of day 3-1 reflection. Writing is so key. As a connected aside, I think there's also some really interesting cultural things going on with the England cricket team. I think big mission orientated. That's really interesting how they've got this very clear vision of what they want to do. But I think also some of the things that we see in the games themselves, some of the tactical things. And I think it's fundamentally all designed to give them more control over their performance and more control over the opposition, which I think fundamentally is what intelligent self-watching allows you to do. It allows you to see, get a much clearer sense of yourself and what is actually going on. People talk about so-and-so has no self-awareness. Well, that's what they mean. They're not very good at self-watching. They're not very intelligent about themselves. And that's absolutely normal because we're just not designed to think of ourselves like that. But actually, in the modern world, it's really unhelpful because it's so easy to get good at some really destructive habits.
Okay, well, Jon, thanks for your time on this shorter podcast. Fascinating. We've covered tennis, we've covered Test cricket. We're spanning the full spectrum of the summer of sport that we're enjoying at the moment. So, and taking great insight from it too. Thanks for your time. Please do like, subscribe, comment, and review this podcast on the platform of your choice if you have a moment. We appreciate you listening. Jon, anything you'd like to say in closing?
Yeah, well, I don't think we mentioned this. If you want to actually read the Novak Djokovic story, it's in chapter 19 of The Habit Mechanic, which is improve your sleep, diet, exercise, and brain health in 3 simple steps. So if you want to go look at that story and also improve your sleep, diet, and exercise habits at the same time, go to chapter 19. You can actually listen to the chapter for free inside the Habit Mechanic University app, or you can get it in the book. Remember, you're only ever one habit away.
Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.